Good morning to you all. My name is Kath, software trainer for NMR. Welcome to the Herd Companion webinar. I'll just give a quick intro as people are still coming in, I think. So nice to see you all. Today is very much a back to basics webinar on Herd Companion. If you've never seen it before and you've never been to a webinar before, welcome along. Very pleased to see you. These are always recorded, so you've got the opportunity to catch up if you can't make it on the day. Or something happens, absolutely. So do always register, and then I will send you the link to the recording afterwards. And they are always put on YouTube as well, on the NMR YouTube channel, so you can look at them as often as you like. So let's go to share my screen. And we have got a Q&A portal within the Teams and also chat, so either or, doesn't matter which. If you've got a question as we go through, do pop those in there. I usually come to them at the end, so then we can go through the questions and I can talk about those. So, Herd Companion. Now, as a starting point, same landing page for everybody, so that makes it really simple and straightforward to navigate. Just to point out, I have been doing a series of these webinars lately, and we've covered a lot of topics to date. There is another one coming up in May the 7th, same time, and it's a bit of a surprise, bit of a fun one. I've got 10 items that you may not ever have known were in Herd Companion. So the link for that to register is in the Q&A. So do have a look at that before you leave and then sign up as you wish, but we'll advertise that, of course, as well. So MQM, just to highlight this area here, your milk quality monitor, which is your bulk milk test results. So payment test results from NML, which affects about 97% of you. So hopefully you can get some really good information on there. Just to touch on it, you can click on the graphic there. I'm going to leave that for now, but that will give you all the back history as well. So really useful to see trends. You can get graphs in there, what your cell counts and your back scans have been up to. So very, very useful portal. Today, though, I want to look at data entry predominantly. Now, this is absolutely relevant to anyone not on software. So getting your information to NMR that bit quicker, maybe if you're using the paper reports currently, why not give this a try? So it puts you in control of when your events come in, and you can enter whenever you like. So the recording window, traditionally was a 30-day window. Nothing happened in between. We've broken that mold. This has been enabled now for about 10 years. So you can actually put in a service, a calving, a PD, sell off a cow, all the usual events. You can enter those as and when they happen. They get updated in real time, so anybody looking at your data will also see those events updated immediately. So as I say, if you're on software currently, carry on doing what you're doing. The software will feed into this in exactly the same method, usually every day. But this just, might be of use to you. As I say, if you're on paper or you put stuff into a farm diary currently, you've got the option here. Now, this is a real live herd. This is Hartpury University, so I can't actually put anything in. But just to illustrate the point, if we go to a cow, we've got all the cow numbers in there, or you can search for a cow number. We've got the date here. As of today, good to go. You can go back in time. So this is really handy if you think, actually, I should have sold that cow 6 months ago, or she was served 3 weeks ago. You can go back and put it in. As long as it's logical for that cow, it will accept it, no problem at all. And it knows it's today's date as far as data entry goes, so that will get updated beautifully. So yeah, we can put in a date here, choose an event, and you can see these are all the main NMR events on here. So just follow whichever ones there are. Just to highlight a couple of interesting ones, most of them make sense exactly what they are. It's a date, it's an event. When it comes to things like sickness, we've got quite a few options in here. So you can also record the likes of milk fever, DAs, etc. So those will go in alongside the cow's record. So really useful to know that one. And things like dead animals, we've got reasons as well. Actually, the sold is bit better on that, I think. There we go. So there's all your different sold reasons. So absolutely, you know, completeness of data quality, it can all go in. Once you've chosen your event for that cow, add event, say I can't click on it now, but that will then show you at the bottom here, number of events to confirm equals 1, and then you can go straight and do another one. So do, you know, 10 at a time, whatever you want. When you get to the finishing, you want to then confirm your event. So that's done in this screen, event confirmation. So you could do, you know, a batch at a time and then confirm the whole lot, and that will then essentially put it up to live. And then all the reports that are relevant are updated in Her Companion. As I say, it is immediate, so then, you know, your records are all updated for everybody that you have assigned permissions to see. If you put something in and it turns out it's not quite right, if you haven't confirmed it, it can just sit in that screen and won't go live. Or you can give us a ring, you know, to change anything, absolutely fine. Or wait until you're recording and then we can make the tweaks necessary then. Okay, so that's your sort of day-to-day data entry. The other element on here, not many people may know about, just on the data entry heading again, is mobility scoring. This one here. So whatever software or you know, paper recording methods you have currently, this may be of interest because it will actually put your mobility scores straight into Her Companion. And again, your vet, your advisor, with your permissions, can see all of this information as well, or you can choose not to. So there are various settings. I'll come on to third parties in a second. But here you'll be able to see previous recordings that you've done, and you can very simply add a new recording. And again, I can't put anything in for real, but just to illustrate it, we've got the date. We can put in who did the scoring. I'll just bring my screen down a little bit. There's two ways of doing it. Those are the cows there. So you can just click on the drop down for each animal. Or if you want to have a go at typing, you can just say cow number 5108, enter, and then we've got a 0 by default. So you can sort of rattle through the cows quite quickly there. It's advisable to save as you go, particularly if you've got 200 odd cows. Just keep saving, which is up here, quick save. And then the other way of doing it is to go to, so you could put all your zeros in like that. If you have a score 2, for example, you can then just go cow number 3, enter, and you see that's now my default for score 2. So I will just cancel that for now. But that can be stored in here forevermore, nice safekeeping. And what it means is, as well as, you know, completing your mobility scoring, you've got various templates and user guides as well to show you how to do it. But we can then see trends and information over time. Now on here, I've got a little graph, so we haven't got a current score to show you, but you can see things like this trend chart in terms of how many have improved, got worse, and so on. And it actually tells you, click on the section in the pie chart you are interested in. So if I look at the resolved cows, that will just load at the bottom there. There we go. And then I can actually identify those cows individually. It's a bit out of date here, but you can see, you know, from October to November and now December. So we've improved. Those cows are back on track as far as mobility goes. So yeah, just wanted to let you know about that one. Lots of different graphs and trends, and you can see it by lactation number and other trends as well. So it's something that you can do quite regularly. Yeah, I haven't got a graph in that one, but you've got a good proportion of the herd in each score as well, which is really useful. Okay, the other not very used option that I wanted to show you was under the iReports, we have various action lists, and these are fairly self-explanatory, due to dry, due to calve. I'll come on to those in a second. But this one here, often overlooked, daily lists. Now this one has been in play since Herd Companion began. Quite a long time. It's a very basic report, but the way it's positioned, it's a really nice action planner, if you like, for what's happening this week. So if I just expand this one, there we go. You can change all of the parameters in terms of, when you're expecting a return, how many days dry you want to have, and a transition one as well, which is quite nice. So the best thing to do is have a little tweak of this, and you can drag your columns around as well. But essentially, we've got what's happening this week. So this is the week ahead. These are the cows due on heat. These are the PDs that are due. And these are the cows that are due to calve. So it puts all of your different action lists into one report. And you can export this, pop it into Excel, so you've got it on a nice sheet, or just print out the page on screen. But yeah, I don't know whether many people have seen that. It's a really useful one. So do have a little delve if that would be of interest to you. Within the other ones, a lot more detail. So things like cows due to dry. You can also put in your parameters, so how far ahead you're looking. With this one, what your cell count threshold is as well. And then, this will expand. So if I wanted to go a little bit mad here, 300 days, what's coming up this year, it will adjust accordingly. There we go. So I've got all my cows that are going to be dried off in the next 300 days or so. Again, we can export. We can change the sort order of these. So this is in dry date order. You can just click on a column heading to sort by that line number field. And you can also look up cows. So across the whole site, this is applicable now. Any particular table here, you can look for an animal like so. Or you could look for a bunch of animals. So it might be we want to see all the lactation for animals. Maybe they're in the shed altogether, something like that. So that gives you a filtered list of 11 items. So it tells you how many cows meet that criteria. We can double up. So you could have more than one filter. It might be you need lactation for, and you need, milk yield less than or greater than a certain amount. So equally, you've got this little key here whereby you can specify greater than, equal to, less than. So really honing in on a particular list of cows that you need, particularly if you've got a large herd. But even if not, it's all about quickly highlighting to the cows that are of concern or, trending in the wrong direction. So very applicable across the whole site. And that's why people like Herd Companion, because it is really quick and easy to get the exact data that you need. And you can jump to anywhere from anywhere as well. So just using your mega menus across the top here. Another one to highlight, cows to calve. Very similar to the drying off one, of course. You've got your yoni status at the end here as well. And again, you can expand that window. Now I've just popped in 300. Obviously, we may not know that far ahead. Let's click apply. So 280 days is probably the cutoff. But just wanted to show you something on here. The other feature, as well as filtering and sorting, we can group by. And I came across this the other day. I got quite excited. So where we've got our due calving date, oh no, that's the calving, sorry, due to calve date, this one. If I just pick that header up, so left click, drag to the top, it gives me a really nice calving pattern list. So what's my calving pattern for the year ahead? It's right here. So a couple of clicks, you're in. You can then see, in terms of the peaks, we've got, a few more cows calving in September, October time, but generally right through. And from an advisor point of view, very quick, if it's a brand new herd to you, you can get an a feel for calving pattern. If it's block calving, have we got animals that are slipping, or, what's the milk yield going to be like looking in particular months. So it gives you a real good indication of what's happening ahead. So I did want to share that one with you. The other element as well, so those are cows due to calve, and you can undo this if you need your list back again. You can pop that header back in anywhere, or if you don't do it, it doesn't matter. Any change that you make, whether it's a sort, a filter, or a group by, when you log back in the next day, it'll all be back to its original state. So you don't have to undo your workings, just move on, absolutely fine. But for heifers as well, under the iReports menu, we have young stock, and this is a really versatile report. So several things you can do here. We have a complete list of all your young stock. So firstly, you can see how many heifers and bulls have I got? So it gives you a running total at the bottom there. Again, you might want to filter, you know, what are my bull calves looking like? Those are they. We've also got usage. So B is beef, D is dairy. So again, you can filter out on those, or even by breed code if you need to see how many Anguses you have. I don't know whether, I'm just going to try this one now, whether we can group by breed. Yes, we can. So in terms of our range of breeds, we've got 38 Angus, 13 British Blue, mostly black and white. Actually gives you an average age as well, which is quite handy. So that's one aspect. Then we want to look at our heifers, and rather than having to filter out, we can just very quickly say, right, who are my heifers to serve? Age to serve 14 months, we can change that one. So apply if you make any changes, but really quickly we've got a list of 7 animals there, and you can see on the far end what their status is. So are they actually bulling? Some of them are good to go, some of them are ready to serve. We can then move on quickly, heifers to PD. So there's your PD list for heifers. I don't have any, but that will show you the served ones that are 40 days served. And then heifers to calve. Again, refreshed, just filtering out really easily. You know, there's all your pregnant ones. We're good to go. Exportable as well, just the same. And the formatting is really quite nice in Excel, so it's very easy to print out and so on after that. Okay, so the final area I wanted to cover today, and then I'll happily take questions, is the breeding section. So breeding and fertility, it kind of leads on nicely from looking at your individual lists. Over here on the left-hand side, we have these 3 sections here, and they form part of the ingenious group of reports. So just taking them through just a little bit now. I'm not going to go through all of it. I've got a whole recording dedicated to just this site, so do check out the YouTube channel and you can view it in a bit more detail. But essentially, a couple of bits to pick out for you. We've got PLI here, and this is the average cow PLI for the herd, and it just shows you the component parts in terms of where you sit compared to the national figures. So if all 4 boxes are filled in here, we are in the top 25% for fertility part of that PLI. And it actually tells you, if I scroll down, all of the explanations are in there underneath the graph as well. So you can always refer to this if you need to. But it just gives you an idea from the current standing point, you know, which elements of PLI do we need to improve on, where are we good at, etc. So that's the situation there. We've got a reliability graph here, and we can see we've done some genomic testing in this herd, so the reliability is much improved. But that aside, this is all from full milk recording. Genetic evaluations form part of that process, so this is all, you know, your information to use and grab and get benefit from that milk recording. So it just shows you the value right there. Genetic progress as well, so we know where we're at for PLI for cows now. Where have we come from in terms of breeding ages? So for this one, it's often easier if I just tick that second box for overall PLI, or you can choose again a component part. It gives you a trend line, so you can see these are the older cows and the younger heifers coming in. We are improving. So as you would expect, really, you know, the breeding decisions that we're making for younger heifers are improving PLI all the time. National comparison, okay, so that's where I sit compared to myself. Where do I sit compared to others? So this looks at Holsteins to start with, but there's a whole raft of breed codes in here. So most dairy breeds are there. And you can then again look at heifers or cows or a particular set of animals. So same graph as before, just divided into more segments. This tells you how many animals we've got in first lactation. So that's my herd. And again, the explanation at the bottom there. And the yellow block determines which percentile you sit in. So overall for PLI, we're in the top 30%, but actually doing really well for milk, protein and fertility. There's another little component here for spread. So within my herd, okay, averages all very well, but where, what's the range of the cows within my herd? And this is, again, looking back at cows, we've got a PLI range from -300 all the way to 600. So it's quite a wide gap there, really. Then we get to something that's a little bit more interactive. Animal evaluation. So you don't have to go through this particular journey in terms of order, but it's quite nice to then, progress it through. So animal evaluation is where we can actually pick and choose breeding groups and which PLI component parts we want to focus on again. So here we have, when you first see it, you think, oh gosh, what's going on here? So let me just adjust this a second. So you could concentrate on a particular component part. I'm just going to stick with PLI for now. So what are all these numbers here? We've got a range within the herd. So if you remember the previous graph in our spread, -291, so that's the lowest PLI animal in the herd, up to 597. And those numbers in between, we've just allocated this into essentially a red breeding group, that's those, and a green one. Now, traditionally there were 3, so you could have 3 different breeding groups. It depends entirely what your protocols are. So for example, I mean, years ago, we would have had a sex semen group as my sort of elite cows, and then we might have had put the rest to beef. And we might have had, interim ones, conventional semen as well. Now, sex semen has moved on a great deal since this was built. So there's about 87%, I think, of straws now are to sexed. So there's no longer a 3-group sort of strategy, but you can, of course, do that. So I've just aligned these sliders. Now, these move across. So I've made mine into 2 different groups just to keep things really simple. So green group, my group 1's going to go to sexed, let's say, and my red one into beef. And then if you wanted to change it, you are quite at liberty to move these sliders along, and then you'll see I've now got different cows applied to different groups there again, and you can hover the mouse over. So 35% of the eligible cows would go into that middle range, which is between 56 PLI and 235. So make it as precise as you need to. Have a good old play with this. You can't break anything in here. If I move my arrow key, you'll see I can land exactly where I need to in terms of the 50 there. So any changes you've applied here, apply slider changes to grid. So those are the sliders. The grid, now you won't see much happening, but if I just go down a bit, this is the grid. So this shows you, with those changes you've made, which breeding groups these cows and heifers are now aligned to. So this is my top heifer, 6231. She's got the highest PLI of 597 within the herd. And again, you can change the sort order, you can find a cow, etc. And of course, because as with most websites these days, you're limited to so many per page. But if you want a table of all the cows, you can just click on it for a great big long list. It does give you the opportunity also to manually and individually apply groups to cows. So for example, 6299, although she's a high PLI, for whatever reason, I may not want her in my sex semen group. Could be yonis related, something like that. I want to put her into group 3 and so on. So if you've made a change like that, apply grid changes to pie chart. And that tweaks ever so slightly because we've now put that cow into that other group. So these groups they're permanent in a way that you can save all your selections, but they don't affect any other groupings in terms of management groups if you've got those on her companion or anything else elsewhere. It's just purely in this one section for breeding. So if I save all of that, so again, save your work if you've made any changes, back up to the top, and then I can go to animal summary. So now I've got a range of animals in my 3 breeding groups. I may have some animals with no group assigned, and those are worth checking out because it could be we are missing some valuable data. such as sire unknown, wrong sire, wrong evaluation group, something like that. So do, let NMR know if we can help with the data there. If I just type in no group here, you can then check out those cows and go and have a look and see why they're not in an evaluation group. Once we've done that, cancel that one. That's my breeding strategy effectively. Then we can export that table across here, and you can go back into iReports, cows to serve, and that breeding group, this one here, will be transferred into here from your settings. So then, breeding advisor, we can take this list and discuss further as to the actual protocols, for group 1, group 2, and so on. So it's a really nice, part of the service, if you like, where we can, decide breeding strategies, and it gives you all the information for those cows as well. Excellent. So those are the sort of main topics for today. Now I'm just going to stop sharing a second just to check out the Q&A. Yeah, that's all good. So that's brilliant. Thank you very much for coming. I hope you'll join me on the next one. It's going to be quite a fun one, just for a top 10 of different items that you never knew were there. Lovely. Good feedback. Thank you very much indeed. I'll speak to you all very soon. Bye-bye for now.